Amazing. Shonavee, welcome to Spark TV. Oh, that unintentionally rhymed. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I am so well. I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Let's start out by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
All right. So I am a SEO professional. I've been working in SEO for about 10-ish years now, and I got into that through copywriting, which I started about 12-ish years now. Just to give people an indication of how old I am now. Um, and what I'm doing is I have launched my hometown, which is Newcastle. I've launched our first ever SEO conference, which is really, really exciting. Yay!
So good. I love it.
Yeah. And we're trying to create something a little bit different with that. So for me, um, I really wanted to make sure that what we were putting together was something that was going to really be worth the value. And also, I think would put out a message that was really important to me as well, which is the way that we currently operate as an industry is not the most ideal. We tend to be kind of relegated to a bit of a siloed, you've tried everything else, it's not working, so now you're going to go out and live and you're going to do SEO. Whereas for me, SEO is actually it's more of a collaborative framework than it is anything else. And the reason I say that is, SEOs get into this industry through basically all those digital skill sets. So I got into it through copywriting, and others got into it through, website development or through marketing. And for a lot of us, it just so happens like you rock up to work one day and someone says, "It's your job, you're doing SEO," and you're like, "Excellent. What is it?" And then you just kind of have to figure it out on the fly. And that's how a lot of us got into it. So, we get into it through these other skill sets. And to me, SEO is not really this like standalone skill set. It's actually a lens that you put over your existing skill sets and you use those skill sets through that knowledge of how search engines work, what they're looking for, and how they're going to understand content and then try and serve that up to users. So, if I can get more people to understand what that kind of looks like, then less people are going to be vulnerable to bad actors who are just trying to kind of take advantage of them, because that happens a lot. And I really don't like being the bad guy that comes in, has to point that out to someone because that doesn't make them feel good and it certainly doesn't make them like me. Um, and also, it will make, I think, people less afraid of it because people are very wary because they don't really understand what it is. Um, and so then I also don't have to come in at the end of projects and be like, I love everything that you've done. A for effort, I am going to change everything though. So, what I'm trying to do with Edge of Search is raise that awareness of SEO in the broader digital professions and kind of bring us together at the same time. Be like, hey, we should work together, you and me, That's the goal.
I love it. I was literally talking to someone about a website yesterday, and they were like, "So does it have the SEO done?" And I'm like, "Ah, I'm like, I don't think you get what SEO is if you're asking me that question."
I love that. You're like, yep, I did. I pushed the button that said SEO.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
SEO'd now.
fully integrated, fully
Yeah,
integrated.
the plug-in now.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that lens, if someone's listening to us going, what the hell is SEO? How would you explain it for a business owner? So, a business owner is mostly the people listening in. So, they're people who have built brands, they sell
Yeah.
products, they sell services, they have websites, and they're like, what is this SEO thing that everyone keeps talking about?
Yes. So the way that I usually try to describe it is you're looking at different ways to optimize for online visibility. So, that doesn't just cover your website, it covers content wherever it may appear online. And it covers, social media and all these other areas as well, which I think SEOs have also, we've steered very clear of it for a very long time because most of us just really hate it. But the way that Google has changed more recently means that we can't really avoid it anymore.
Mm.
But that's the I guess the core of it is it's if you're looking for online visibility, it's understanding how to optimize whatever you're doing within those campaigns, whether that's you're producing new content or you're trying to build brand authority or you're trying to, you run ads, things like that. How do you optimize your visibility, whether that's increase just the amount of visibility you have or refine the visibility, you know, to the very specific audience that you want to get in touch with.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you describe it like that as well, because, and that's kind of where I was, had my head when the website lady was saying that. I was like, there's so many moving parts to SEO.
Yes.
And, I say this as a non-SEO expert, but when I think about SEO, I've got almost like a list. I'm like, am I keeping my blog up to date with keywords about my niche? My social media posts linking, do they have keywords and do they link
Yeah.
back to my website? Is the copy on my website what it should be? And yes, there are some technical elements as well in terms of how your website's built. Like there's actually so many tick box, even like other people linking to your website. There's so many
Yeah.
things that you can actually do SEO.
So many. And I think that's what intimidates people is,
Mm,
like when you get into it, it is overwhelming.
yeah.
Um, but it's one of those things of, I guess, what I usually say to clients when they feel that is, you can explore any number of rabbit holes, and you might get something from it, but essentially we're just trying to like let's do the basics first. Let's get where is your actual presence? Let's look at optimizing that presence that you have, and then we can look at expanding. And from there, it's a case of let's actually think about what you're capable of. Like,
Mhm.
what are your resources?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Every business owner would be like, oh yeah, my resources.
Yeah, totally, totally. Do I have time between 10 p.m. and 12 p.m., 12 midnight?
Yeah, how much sleep do I actually
Actually need, yeah.
need? Mm. Because yeah, if you just add and add and add and this happens to people all the time, is they get overwhelmed with how much is there. They just start throwing things at the wall, seeing what happens, but then, they're not really dedicating time and energy to any specific thing. So for my clients, I'm like, let's just look at like where you actually are now,
Mhm.
where you need to be, and then what resources do you actually have to make that happen? And then we can go from there.
And do you
Um,
think that it's also a long game as well? It's not like, and I don't know if this is my just legacy thinking, but I think about, so my other business Scrunch is digital marketing or influencer marketing
yeah,
specifically. And we started writing blogs from day one. So we have a decade of blog articles and we just get such great organic search traffic from that. But I think to myself, well, if you've not started a blog, like one blog article is not going to give you great SEO. I'm talking about a decade of blogs here.
yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things of the, I guess the traditional line with SEO is it's a long game.
Mm,
Um, we usually say to clients, particularly because just what the average person can actually afford,
yeah.
sort of expect to see results within the sort of 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
But and here's the famous SEO line, it depends.
Mm,
Um, so if you essentially everything is a balance of time and money. As business owners, that's like the golden rule. If I don't have money to pay for it, I need time to do it myself,
yes.
right? So SEO is no different. If you've got a ton of money that you can throw at it and you can pay for people to output anywhere between 4 to 6 blogs for you a month and to create all those pages and get your website up within a month and to coordinate, cross-channel optimization with, matching keywords and content and things like that. If you've got the resources to do that, you can get really quick results. But
Mm,
what the average person can actually afford in terms of resources means that for most people, SEO does take usually about 6 months of consistent effort. And that's because there are layers to the way that a system like Google understands what a website is, and what your business is. So it's not just looking at your business, it's looking at your social profiles, it's looking at your directory listings, it's looking at anywhere that you've been mentioned on the internet and kind of collating all of this stuff. Sorry, everyone, I'm blurry now. I'm a
Don't you love
Monet.
cameras? I know cameras like coming in and out of focus. Don't worry about it.
It's fine. I'm a Monet painting now. So um yeah, so it looks at all these different aspects of what we would call your digital profile or your digital footprint. And it starts to gather all that information and it relates it back to what we call entities. So entities is far more important in Google than keywords. Keywords is just how the majority of people who are not SEOs, and even still the majority of SEOs, actually, that's still how we understand, you know, how to speak to the system, essentially. But the way that it really does it is through entities. So it has this idea of like topics or ideas or concepts, and then keywords make up those entities. And they do them in like these kinds of think of them like clusters, essentially. So related clusters that make up that concept or idea or topic. So what it does is essentially you fit within these ideas, right? And so it takes time to build that up. So yeah, it's for the vast majority of people, like it's never going to be a quick thing, because it takes time to really establish who you are, what's your position, what's, how does Google, something like Google actually understand you and understand your business.
So if you were if you were talking to a business owner and they
Yeah.
said, okay, I'm going to do some stuff myself to start with, and I'm happy to invest the time and I'm going to appreciate that it is a 6+ months exercise,
Yeah.
would there be like a top 3 to 5 things that you would have them focus on?
Depends on what kind of business it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because content, like just putting out blogs or whatever is not going to be the best course of action for every business.
Mm.
Um, but for the majority, it's going to be a case of, you know, let's really look at your website, let's look at your connections, um, and let's figure out what are you actually offering. So the first thing is like, what are your services? What are your products? And that's usually the starting point for us is really get your offering down and understand that within the concept of entities or the concept of keywords as we talk about it. Um, and then we can use that to optimize, your service pages or category pages. If you're doing e-commerce or anything like that, that's usually our first port of call, is to look at those category pages, because they can bring in a lot more of that middle funnel traffic, than what your product pages will. So you're kind of building that idea of, this is who I am, this is what I sell, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the first step is like, get that main offering down. Like, what are you actually doing? And then how does that translate into keywords? And then what needs to be optimized from there? And some businesses are really interesting in that they're so niche. I'm back.
You're
Um,
back.
hi, HD again. Um, some businesses are so niche that, you can't really optimize their service pages, which is a really interesting. You have to get a little bit more creative then, where you have to kind of, so for example, one thing that I would do with a business like that is look at providing, like, what is your overall offer? Like, what is your job?
Yeah.
And then you can create kind of like a directory page on the website of services, but you optimize that main kind of navigational page for the job, essentially. Yeah. So that's like one way of doing it. And then other things to kind of focus on is your imagery. Like, have original images wherever possible.
You're
Um,
telling me I shouldn't have my stock images on my website?
you can. Um, But look, and no hate to the stock images, truly. But I would say that they're really cracking down and making it hard for people to even use them.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that because I use stock images for a blog header. So
Yeah.
now in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Um, it can be totally fine. So I think the more specific you need the image to be, the harder it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they always keep those really specific types of images at the premium level, so you have to pay for the accounts.
Hmm.
And also, we have also noticed quite recently there's been some scammers that have been going around about image rights, hitting people up for money.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Yeah. If you get someone who's asking you to send money to a bank account in Switzerland for the image rights of stock images on your website, don't do it.
Public service announcement.
Public
Yeah.
service announcement, don't do that. Having a few here or there is totally fine, but wherever
Mm.
you can have those original images,
Yeah.
um, yeah, absolutely try and get those wherever you can, just because firstly it's going to be a point of difference for you, and you're not going to be kind of targeted in that way.
Looking like a stock website. Yeah.
Yeah. People will, and I think people users, they do respond better to that.
Mm.
But it also gives you a point of difference for trying to rank in image search as well. So you can optimize those images in the alt text specifically. So the idea of that is to describe the image, but
Oh.
because it's an accessibility thing for blind people, right? If they can't see exactly what the image is, then they can use that alt text as used to read out what the description of the image is. But if it's something that's really specific to your business, then you can put those keywords in and you can optimize for that. So that's really handy, especially if you're in products, especially if you're in like any kind of service where you do design, like interior design, or outdoor design, anything like that. If you build stuff, paint stuff, okay, if you deal with stuff in any capacity, physical things, get original images, and yeah, start optimizing those, get those in image search, because a lot of people also do like to look for things that way as well.
And is that why we should name them correctly, like the file name of the
Yes.
image?
Yeah. Only because it gets pulled into that into the metadata, and robots can read it, right?
Yeah.
So they go, if they can read the name and it's just 0000138, you know,
IMG. Yeah.
IMG, PNG, then it goes,
Underscore unsplash because I bought it from a bloody stock site. Yeah.
yeah, a bot doesn't know that that's not important. It just goes, oh, that has something to do with the image.
Mm,
So if you can name them correctly, that's really good. If you can optimize alt text where it's appropriate,
yeah.
um, with some keywords, that can be really great, and compress them as well. Images will bog down your page speed really, really quickly. So images are a really important part that we focus on. And then, oh gosh, what else? I've already talked so much about. It's
No,
only been like two
I mean, it's
things.
so interesting. Like, even like, I know we kind of went, there's so many elements to SEO, or search engine optimization. And it's like, even that, like mentioning page speed, like load speed, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's why is interesting for business owners because they do go, have I ticked off SEO? It's like, no,
You will never
it's
tick off
no.
SEO.
And then the Google gods will change the rules and we'll be doing something else.
Yes, the Google gods.
The Google gods. That's how I describe SEO. I'm like, SEO is appeasing the Google gods. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, particularly in Australia, just because they have so much of the market.
Mm,
Um, but it's one of those things of, traditionally SEOs have operated on the idea that there's like 200 plus ranking factors
mm,
to work with, and so we're like, it's a checklist, right? Like, tick off
yeah,
as many things as you can,
yeah.
but like, don't stress it if you can't do everything, because there's so much. And then the Google API leak recently kind of blew that entirely out of the water. It's like, oh, you think there's 200? That's cute. There's
Oh
actually like
no,
14,000. Enjoy.
no.
Yeah, you're like, oh, cool. All right.
You're like, well, at least I'm employed forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Never gonna be out of a job.
Totally.
Um,
Well, and it's even interesting, like, sometimes business owners say to me, I've tried everything and I don't know what else to do. And I'm
yeah.
like, I guarantee you haven't tried everything. Like SEO is one of those tasks where it's like, yeah, as we've described today, if you're a business owner sitting there going, what the hell else do I do to try and grow my business? It's like, well, maybe once a week or once a month, you should be going, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in contribution to SEO, because it is something that stacks up over time, and it is something that you need to
Yeah.
consistently, work on. And I mean, even like, I know this is giving myself a kick up the bum. I'm so bad at naming images. I just am so lazy. And I was like, that's really interesting. Even I go, no, okay, from now I should make sure that I'm doing that
Yeah.
correctly. And because I search so many women in business, and this is why it's landing for me, because I Google women in business because I'm usually updating their listing in our directory or something.
Yeah.
For some women and some businesses, they you can't find a profile picture, you can't find a logo, and I'm now going, I guarantee you that's because their file names aren't correct and they haven't been indexed, and so they're not showing up for their own business.
Well, probably more like they don't have any alt text on
Yeah.
those images.
Mm.
So, yeah, incorrect name, but
Yeah.
also they probably haven't put the alt text things like, what's that for? And just gone, too many things and just
Oh
moved
my
on.
God, that's going to be like the subject of this podcast. Sort your alt text out,
Sort
ladies.
your alt text. You know what kick-ass ladies do? They have alt text.
Yes. Oh my God. It's cool because, again, it's like for the people who are sitting there thinking, I've tried everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, there are so many hacks, so many things you can do to optimize your business. And I love this because it is a checklist of things that we can start doing to start ranking better.
Yes. Yeah, and look, if your business has been around for like at least a couple of years, then there's always little things that you can do that can get you some quick traction. Because age is weirdly kind of part of it.
Mm,
Um, which always sucks when you're a new business, but you'll be happy about it in a couple of years.
yes.
Um, but like freshness, for example, is a part of the system from when Google first started integrating news into the SERPs. And they're
Mm.
like, how do we assess what is news and what's not news? And a part of that
Mm.
was freshness, like how recently has this been
Oh.
updated, right? And so that's why you see like the dates and stuff, so that they're always looking at that sort of thing. And one of the things that we like to do at the beginning of every year is go and have a quick review of the content, make sure everything is up to date, and
Mhm.
then we update the dates.
I love
um,
it.
yeah, and that can be just like a quick little tick over for you. Honestly, like it amazes me every year just how well something small like that works.
That's so cool. And
Hack,
again, like how the job is never done. There's always stuff you can do to
always
improve your
stuff.
business.
Yeah. That's the bad news of this podcast is it never ends. There is always more to do.
It's so true. That's just like business in general, though. What
Yeah.
about voice? I kind of remember like a few years ago when I'm going to say Alexa and she's going to yell at me, but because she's next to me. But like, yeah, but like, I feel like a few years ago, like the whole world went crazy. And I was like, you've got to optimize for voice. Like, within years, people are just going to be talking to they smart home things and whatever. So your
Yeah.
website's such a, but I feel like then that died out. Is that a thing?
Um, I mean, heaps of people do use voice search. The thing is that the way people use voice search isn't drastically different to how they currently search when they type.
Mm,
So the reason it was such a big deal, and I think this is pre all of the hoopla about AI, pre Chat GPT, every
mhm.
year was the voice of search, the year of voice search. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was reading articles every year like, this is the year, this is the year you have to optimize for it. And now ChatGPT is like every year is the year you have to use AI.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, back when it was, I guess, at that peak of that hoopla, um, the way people searched was different. to how they spoke. So the way they were using voice search is they would ask 4 questions. But the way they searched was, instead of saying, what do I need to fix my shrub? It would be shrub, tools, what use, or something
Yeah,
like that.
dead. Yeah, I've killed my plant.
Yeah, so, the way that people were typing in search was very different because I don't know if you remember this, but there was a whole system to how you had to use Google when like
Oh yeah, I
20 years
remember when I
ago.
was in primary school and they taught us how to use search engines and you had to put like plus symbols and
Yeah,
you had to put like equations. You had to use equations to
yeah.
search engines.
Yes, what
It
we
was
call
crazy.
the Google Dorks now. Um which is really cute. But yeah, and that all still exists, but no one
Mm.
uses it. And so
Yes.
this is, and it ties back into a conversation I've been having a lot recently, which is the way products are designed now
Mm.
is you need to have a top layer of anyone can use it. Anyone can use it any which way they want and it'll work. And then you have this like underlayer of complexity for people who want to be like the OP hero users.
Mm.
So there's people out there who do use the Google Docs and they get in there and they put all the equation, they use all that stuff. But most people just go, how do thing,
Yeah.
and that's it, right? So it had to evolve for that.
Mm.
Um, and so what has happened, I think probably it may even be partly as a result of voice search, is it people have like it is now trained to understand all these like little in between bits. So like BERT, for example, is just one part of the ecosystem, and its whole purpose is what's a preposition?
Mm.
That's it. What does it mean when something is, from, with? What do those words mean? How do they create context? That's its whole purpose to the
Wow.
system. Yeah, we love Bert. He's great. Um, so like that's the system's gotten really, really complex, and so the idea that you need to optimize separately for voice search, I think, has been um, anyone who is still saying it now, like I would say that's a really overblown claim. It's just like you don't need to because people now search the way that they speak.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned AI. So how about that? Because one common thing I'm seeing people talk about is using AI to write content
Yeah.
and now having to flag content if it's AI generated. Are you seeing like anything going on between AI generated content and SEO at the moment?
So Google did roll out what we call a helpful content update, which is a whole system within the ecosystem.
Mm.
And a lot of people who used AI to basically just create mountains of content really quickly have
Mm.
all been tanked. Like
Wow.
very purposely tanked. Well, I can't say that very purposely for legal reasons, but um,
Allegedly. Allegedly tanked.
but they have all by chance tanked
Mm.
after this. Um, that's not to say that you can't use it. You just have to be reasonable. Like at our agency, I've used AI content writing,
Mm.
particularly to do some of the stuff that really makes you just want to die when you have to try and write it.
Yes.
Um, as much
I
as we
find
would
it
love to
good as
say,
a starting point as well. Like,
yes,
because also it's like it's just that concept of like blank page. Like, when you look at a blank page, you're like, I
yes,
don't know. But then if I have an article in front of me, I'm like, oh, this sucks. And then I just edit. Oh, now it sounds like me. But
yeah,
it's, kind of just accelerates the process.
yes, yeah, 100%. And and that's no different to kind of using like writing prompts to get you going.
Mm.
Um, but the main things that I would say if you are looking to use an AI writer, which you totally can, there's some out there, and for the most part, like they write better than the average person.
Yeah.
That's the kicker. They don't write better than good writers.
Mm.
So if you have a good writer, keep them.
Yes.
Don't get rid of them.
Yes.
Please keep them. But for the average person who's not a writer, who doesn't have that technical know-how, because it is a skill,
Mm.
um, then yeah, absolutely, you can use an AI writer, and it's probably going to produce something better than you could do. And the main thing is to be careful about the structure, because all these different, AI tools, a lot of them are just pushing out the same kind of format and structure.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so that's a bit of a giveaway. But have your own structure, do your research, actually research your topic. Don't rely on these AI tools to know things for you, because they don't know things.
No.
And that's where AI as a term is really, really misleading. This is not
Mm.
intelligence.
Mm.
It's an algorithm.
Yeah.
And
Oh
that's
my God, I love that. You're so spot on. It's just like it's almost like I'm going to say this in a terrible way, but it's like an idiot that just searches the internet, pulls information in and spits out an article. Like you're right. It's like,
yeah,
it's just regurgitating what it searched.
yes, it's a web scraper essentially,
Mm.
with machine learning capabilities to put that information into grammatical sentence structures.
Yeah.
That's really what's going on. So the idea of AI is a little bit of a misleading term.
Mm.
And if people kind of approach it with that awareness, like this is a tool, it's not something to do the
Yes.
thinking for me, it's something to
Yes.
help me with the technical execution, then it's going to be really useful to you. Still put in the time. If you used to take 6 to 8 hours to write a blog before ChatGPT, it should still take you probably 4 to 6 hours to produce a blog. It still should take that time, because
Yeah.
then you're researching your topic, you're doing the editing, and you're probably considering, the outline as well. So my recommendations: do your research, create your own outline of what you want, and then use that outline to get very um, specific responses out of the AI that you want. Because the more specific you are with it, the better the response you're going to get. You just say, hey, write me a 700 word blog on blah topic. It'll do that and it'll be crap. If you
Yep.
go, hey, can you write a response to this very specific question on
Mm.
this topic, keep it to 200 words, and please use, let's say it's legal or something, please use New South Wales Australian legislation
Yeah.
for this, you know, then you're going to get a much, much better, much more correct response. So, um, yeah, do your research, do your own outlines, and then edits, and edit again.
Oh, I love it. This has been amazing, like so tactical. Like I love that. I love that. Amazing. So, and I haven't even asked you about running the business. This has been all like strategy, all stuff that we can actually implement.
Yeah,
Talk to me about, how did you so you mentioned you started as a copywriter and that's how you got into this industry.
yeah.
But like and obviously, you said you check every year, you kind of take you eat your own dog food, you do your own stuff, do your own SEO. But what's it like, the underlying business element for you? What is it like running an SEO agency?
Right. So I don't run the agency. I've got so Edge Search is my separate business that
Yeah.
I've established with the help of my boss, who is lovely.
Awesome.
Um, when I first
So
came to
you're an
him,
intrapreneur,
I am,
essentially. An
yes,
intrapreneur.
entrepreneur.
I
I
love
love
that.
that.
Yes, yes.
So when I first came to him with the idea, I was like, I'm thinking about doing this conference.
Yes.
And he was like, do you want to do it yourself? Like you go out, you register the business, you do all the stuff. It's like, or do you want to do it through Firewire?
Yep.
And then where, we can utilize business resources to like help it make it happen. And I
Yep.
was like, I will take option 2, please.
Totally. Totally.
Um,
Shortcut success
oh
always.
yeah,
Yeah.
wherever you can get help.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, I am very involved with Firewire, and I'm super grateful to my boss for that. Any big changes that happen, we discuss them first.
Mm.
Um, and thankfully, like we're pretty much always on the same page, so that's smooth sailing.
Awesome.
Um, so I'm very involved in the direction of that, and then the business side, and then with the conference. Um, I think with that, because it's an event-based thing, although I want to expand it outside of that,
Mm,
I'm really getting the benefit of just like that creative business side
yes.
of things of like what is this going to be like?
Mm,
What are we building to?
yeah.
And that's been really interesting, is like building something from the ground up and like being there from the beginning, because I've never had that experience before. Um, and luckily, like we've got so many partners that have just thrown their support behind it as well. I've been so surprised that I haven't really had to convince anybody, which is
That is
insane
so
for me.
good. Mm, that
I
is
was like,
insane.
I know. So like we've got like a branding partner, for example, who, we do work with them through the agency. And we're like, so would you wanna like be the branding sponsor? I'm a Monet painting again. Sorry guys. Oh, I'm back. Um, would you be interested? And they're like, yeah. I was like, great,
Yeah.
cool. And
Oh,
so they've
that's
helped create the Edge of Search brand, which is amazing. And one of the things they really I loved about it was they pushed back on us.
mm,
So when I was like, this is my idea, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I
yep.
want. And originally it was going to be called Newey SEO Conference,
Yep.
because Newcastle, good old Newey,
Yes.
keeps it a bit more like, I guess, in the vibe of the city.
Yep.
Uh, but they were like, but what do you want to do with this?
Yeah.
Where do you want to take this? I was like, that's a good question. So,
The power
um,
of asking great questions. Seriously.
yes.
Mm,
And that's been the most wonderful thing about everyone we've worked with. Um, and so for me, like I'm in the thick of organizing the 2024 event, and
wow.
we're starting to look at 2025, but
Mhm.
I'm also starting to think about like what else can this be
Yeah.
as a business, because I want it to be more than just an event.
Mm,
Like obviously I want that, and I want it to be like the event, and I want to keep Newcastle the home of that event.
yes.
Because we're a National Geographic smart city here, so I think it's just really appropriate.
Yep.
And the digital and tech scene here is incredible. So, and also the city's just wonderful.
Yeah. Newcastle's pretty cool.
It's very cool. So I really want to keep Newcastle the home of it, but I want to make it like, I want to make this a bigger business than just, oh, it's an annual conference.
Yes.
I want to get courses out and do master classes, and build it up into something like that. So, and I want it to lead search. I like a broad search, and involve not just SEOs, but people who are in digital marketing, people who are in
Mm,
branding, people who are in social media, and kind of start actually put, I guess, infiltrating the industry with that message of, you know, it's not we're not silos.
mm,
We're actually all on the same team, and we need to start kind of getting on each other's teams with this.
yes.
So my experience of the business so far is highly creative end of that, which I'm very grateful for. And also finances. I've been running the finances, which has been eye-opening.
Yeah. Always is. Yes.
You're like, oh, everything costs so much more than you think it does.
Tell me about it. Yep.
Yeah. So, so I'm probably having a much softer, much nicer experience of starting something than most people, and I'm very aware of that. But
I
yeah,
think
very
it's
grateful for it.
I think it's so cool though, because it's actually such a great lesson, and sharing of the experience, because I think sometimes people think they've got to have the full on end game first in mind,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whatever the empire is, versus let's do an event. Let's
Yeah.
build that community. Let's get people on board the mission and plan
Yeah.
for the vision and big picture and execute, because you're right. Everything does cost a shitload of money and time. So it's like sometimes the empire might feel far away, but what can you do like right here, right now to
Yeah.
test the idea, get people on board, Yeah, and just start building towards that vision. So I actually love that it's starting as a conference. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I think, yeah, building with the community at the center of it
Yeah.
is such a core part of it.
Mm.
Especially for SEOs, like we love our community.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're any chance we have to kind of meet up with each other, we're so down for it. The problem is like dragging them outside of that community can be a bit difficult.
Well, I
Um,
love your, like, and you said it at the beginning as well, the idea that it isn't just about SEOs, it is the
yeah,
whole digital marketing community. It is getting everyone on board with the fact that SEO is so broad and it has so many moving parts, and if we all need to work on the same team, like it just makes me laugh because so in my other business, Scrunch, we do social media,
yeah,
and sometimes you can't even talk to like a marketing person, like because we're an outsourced agency, and I'm like, why are you thinking about this in a silo? And same with influencers when we do influencer campaigns,
yeah,
it's like this silo campaign. And I'm like, no, like it's all supposed to be connected and leveraged. And otherwise, you're just kind of doing it as this drop in the ocean. Whereas if you integrate it into the rest of your strategy, it goes so much further. So I love
yes,
that you're doing that for SEO. I think that's brilliant.
yeah. Well, for me, I think SEO is the connective tissue between all those
Yes.
areas because it's
Good.
you're optimizing for wherever you are online. That's the purpose of SEO. It's just it started with search engines because that's kind of what came first.
Yeah.
So, and we keep building stuff out of it, like SXO, for example, which is search experience optimization. Um, but it's the same kind of it's SEO. It's still just
Yeah.
SEO. And so with the presenters, I've been really specific about headhunting every person,
Mhm.
and getting them to talk to like their passion area. So I've got Remy Audette as an example coming in to talk about branding and digital PR and like how SEO plays a role in that.
Mhm.
I've got Sarah Peliconis who's going to be talking about social media and
Yep.
SEO. Which I was like, do you want to take that on? I
Yeah.
was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, all right, she's a brave woman
That's cool.
because
That's very
SEOs don't want to know about social media a lot.
mm.
And we've also got someone to come in and talk about the role of SEO and UX design and design in general. And like her whole agency is around SEO. It's actually called SEO meets design.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the whole goal is SEO is the connective tissue between all these other areas.
That is absolutely brilliant. You are incredible. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. I've got a to-do list now, so thanks so much for that.
Sorry. Everyone
So
always leaves with homework.
I know, but it's so good. I absolutely love it. I'm all about like what are things that I can actively do to grow my business. And if somebody gives me a task, I'm like, I will do it, you know? I
Excellent.
just
Done. Yeah.
think it's so good. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. I know everybody listening in would have gotten so much value out of that. So appreciate you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me and letting me prattle on for as long as I did.
You're welcome back anytime. And we'll spruik the event as well. So I'll share that in the show notes so people can come along.
Awesome. Thank you so much.